Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Bachelor in Paradise News. Please subscribe and keep watching for more details. I am your friend Alana B. Let's start. Golden Bachelorette. Which 5 men stood out to Joan Vassos? Without a doubt, the Golden Bachelorette star, Joan Vassos, had a wonderful group of men who were vying for her heart. No one can deny that it was a difficult decision for Joan to open herself up and find which man would be her best fit. Although she could only pick one man in the end, she had 5 that touched her spirit deeply. She discusses which of her suitors truly stood out to her during their stay at the mansion. During the latest episode of The Golden Bachelorette, Joan Vassos had to eliminate down to her top 4 picks for hometowns. Sadly, some of the conversations were heartbreaking as Joan said goodbye. But she knew it was going to get increasingly more difficult as the weeks went by. She has chosen to go to her hometowns with Pascal Ebgiri, Chalk Chapel, Guy Gansert, and Jordan Heller. Each of the men who left received heartfelt conversations about how Joan would miss them. However, she has so many good memories from her journey. She confides in fans who the 5 men who truly changed her life along the way. She had a very special group of men. According to US Weekly, Joan Vassos talks highly about her men. Although she couldn't take them all through the full journey, she knew they were a very special group. She said, "This group of men, I am so shocked about how open they are with their feelings and how willing they are to talk to each other." Seemingly, this was an eye-opening experience for Joan to watch the enchantment that came over the guys who were in the mansion. Joan adds, "That never has been my experience with men. I feel like whenever there's a group of men, they talk about sports, their golf game, and how their baseball team is doing, or even about their businesses. They rarely talk about their feelings, and it was amazing how quickly these guys felt comfortable with each other." However, Joan has spoken about how difficult it is to date at her age. Although age may just be a number, Joan knows that all of her guys arrived with experience from a world that wasn't gentle on them. She says, "They knew that they were in a house with people in this position, where things hadn't gone perfectly in their lives." Furthermore, Joan reflects on how much they all had to get out of their comfort zones to take a chance at love. She adds, "Something has happened to the person that they felt they were gonna spend the rest of their lives with, and maybe that gave them a comfort level, knowing they were gonna be talking to somebody who could relate and empathize with them." Although Joan has picked her final 4, she also has 5 men who moved her during her journey. The first man Joan Vassos recalls is Chalk Chapel. For Joan Vassos and Chalk Chapel, the stars aligned and she was whisked off to a magical experience at Disneyland. But something that stood out to her about Chalk was the ease of conversation. She said, "We started talking and never stopped." Furthermore, she says, "It was so easy, to the point where producers said, 'Hey, enjoy the atmosphere. You're just talking amongst yourselves.'" Admittedly, Joan says both Chalk and her beloved husband, Joan Vassos, were people who wanted to fix everything. Likewise, they are strong men that created the element of safety for her. She confesses, "I've had this feeling that I don't feel as safe as I used to when John was alive." But Chalk helped her return to the comfort of home that she felt with John. She explains, "He just made me feel safe. I thought, Chalk's a person who would make you feel safe again." Sadly, Chalk Chapel's mother passed away during the season. While Joan Vassos completely understood he was hurting and had to go, it was difficult to watch him leave. Similarly, Joan had to leave suddenly during her journey with Jerry Turner. Although it was heartbreaking to watch Chalk go, Joan knew it was the right thing for him and his family. She says, "I knew in his heart he wanted to come back, but I knew that he could find something at home that didn't allow him to come back." Additionally, Joan says, "And as a really upstanding guy, he would not leave his family that needed him. So I was honestly really worried he wasn't gonna come back. Thank goodness he did." Other things that mesmerized her were, he had these beautiful blue eyes I have to say that helps.
Pascal
He's
Ebbe
very
made
a big impression. When thinking back, Joan Vassos recognized that Pascal Ebbe was different from anyone she had ever known. Not only was he dressed nicely, but he was very intriguing to her with his romantic French accent and foreign flair. She says, Pascal does life big. He spends the money and makes everything fun. But she knows the world is judging him a little, since he seems high maintenance with his stance of, I don't do laundry, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do all these things. Since he built himself up from nothing, he has chosen to live a life paying others to take care of those things, instead of using his time and effort that way. Joan acknowledges he came from bad circumstances, but she also sees he is completely self-made. Undeniably, he has confidence in the success he has made for himself with his Chicago-based salon. Then she adds, I think he's fun to be around. I can imagine life in Chicago living that way. Joan Vassos also adores Charles Ling. As Joan Vassos revisits her time at the mansion, she identifies that Charles Ling was someone who changed her. She recalls being fascinated by his innocence. He is so pure and unjaded. Furthermore, she asserts that is very unique for people in their age group. She says, the fact that he is so innocent still is a quality you don't see in older people. Likewise, even though he was deeply grieving, he was genuine. Although he was Charles not in charge, he was a breath of fresh air for those around him. But she truly appreciates that Charles is very open with his feelings. Even though he lost his wife 6 years early, he honored her and is still processing his grief. But his honest, raw conversations helped others sit with their own grief, whether they were mourning the loss of a spouse or the life they thought they would have. Charles assisted many of the men and Joan with processing their emotions. Teddy Bear Keith Gordon. From night one, Joan Vassos saw Keith Gordon as someone very special. His big, boisterous personality commanded attention. Then, the gentle proclamation of being a girl dad, which was listed as his official job description, showed Keith's loyalty to his family. Joan says about meeting Keith, it was just easy. She loved that he rolled up uniquely with his old station wagon, which was reminiscent of her childhood. Then he suggested they ditch the mansion and head to the beach. Unmistakably, that was something she wanted. I was like, God, that's exactly what I'd like to be doing right now. When she gave him the first impression rose, she said he was a big teddy bear. Joan Vassos' fifth stand-up man, Mark Anderson. Before starting her journey as the Golden Bachelorette, Joan Vassos got to see Mark Anderson on The Bachelor with Joey Graziadei and his pick, Kelsey Anderson. Undoubtedly, Bachelor Nation had an infatuation with Mark from the get-go. Admittedly, Joan says, I felt like I knew him a little bit. Joan even joked when Kelsey dropped him off in the limo that she could just call her mom. Joan felt connected from the start. She said, he had been on Joey's season for her hometown, and I saw what kind of father he was and lovely man he was. Likewise, she said, he looks into your eyes and just makes you feel calm. Although Joan was at ease with him, she also knew he wasn't at the right place in his grief journey to move forward. Sadly, Joan had a heartbreaking goodbye to release him to heal instead of holding on to him for her own enjoyment. Mark had seen a hummingbird and knew that his wife was showing him it was okay for him to move on, but Joan saw that Mark starting his path to learn about himself. Catch new episodes of The Golden Bachelorette on ABC Wednesdays at 8/7C and then stream on Hulu later. What do you think about the 5 men that Joan Vassos mentions truly stood out to her? Are you enjoying this season of The Golden Bachelorette? Drop your comments below. Bonnie Kaiser Gambill. Bonnie Kaiser Gambill is a graduate from Oklahoma State University. Her freelance writing primarily focuses on streaming series, reality TV, and celebrity news. During her free time, she enjoys spending time with family and friends, baking, and traveling as often as possible.